How companies hire defines the future of an industry. Here's the time-lapse of the developer's growth that shows it clearly. Stage 1. Rose-colored glasses. Let's meet Bob. He wants to get into the IT. Bob reads, "In IT, people are paid for smart thinking and effective solutions. Average salary starts at $115K. The more experience you have, the higher will be your salary." And hundreds stories of students who managed to land a job after finishing the course, without even having a college degrees. How great, Bob thinks. IT companies finally understood that filtering candidates by diplomas removes good candidates. So they dropped it. That's a smart move. And now, because of the shortage of the developers, it's the best time to join IT. In this video we will talk about why those expectations are wrong. Stage 2. Burnout before getting an offer. Bob finishes the course, but at the interviews he's asked much deeper questions. System design, algorithms, CI/CD, the stuff that wasn't taught at his Java course. At first, Bob tries to learn everything properly, but after months he burns out. Every new topic hides 5 more. Burnout before an offer, that's something. So he decides just to memorize the answers to the questions. Next time he's lucky and he gets through the technical round to the behavioral interview. Bob answers honestly that salary matters to him, and although he likes learning, he will not work overtime. He believes that in IT, awareness and honesty is valued, and the system will recognize that. But the recruiters for some reason doubt him. After several tries, Bob learns to play along. It feels very strange though that people who drop the diplomas filter now build the walls by playing those word games. But those are the rules. So instead of talking about money, Bob starts to talk about passion to IT and an interest to the project and the willingness to grow. He acts like he's ready to go an extra mile. Without noticing, Bob already wears the mask to pass an interview. And recruiters don't even understand his technical words. They study economics. It seems absurd, but it works. Stage 3. Laziness. Bob finally gets hired and his interview mask starts to hurt him. He stays late building perfect engineering solutions, while his colleagues just pick the easiest one, even though it often results in a dirty code. Bob thinks this is unfair, but the boss likes fast results. And for some reason no one gets the benefit of rewriting everything to this new perfect library or the language. So over the time, Bob learns to be lazy too. Another mask, another lie. Stage 4. Glasses break. Bob grows as a specialist. After a year and a half, the layoffs hit and he has to look for the job again. With almost 2 years of experience, Bob decides he is now a middle-level developer. But job listing says 2+ years of experience. They must know better, Bob thinks, and applies for the junior role again. He thinks, now at least I have some experience, so it will be easier. For preparation, Bob opens the job description and the top interview questions list. And guess what? Job post looks like a bunch of random requirements and the list of the questions are all theory. But he didn't use much theory and algorithms while he was employed. Bob mostly read logs and wrote tests. He realizes with the horror that he's studying things he will never use. At nights, Bob remembers his first thoughts about IT. They pay for smart thinking and effective solutions. Where did that go? Someone clearly did their job badly, but now it doesn't matter. What matters is getting a job. It is the same theory, the same questions, just harder. And that takes months of preparation. Bob again has to show skills that are completely opposite to the skills that matter at the job itself. Stage 5. Go and interview others. Bob gets lucky and finds a new job. 5 years later he's told, "You are senior now, so go and interview candidates." Now he remembers his painful interview processes. They asked weird things, but maybe there's some logic. Someone said algorithms check the logical thinking. Isn't that important? So Bob asks others the same questions. If it was done to him, there must be the reason. And on the other side of the screen sits a new junior who still thinks that in IT people are paid for smart thinking and effective solutions. The point of the story is, if every developer follows the Bob's path, the market will change. And with it, ideal candidate's profile, and with it, the whole industry. Lie or leave. Here are 5 reasons why you cannot pass the interview if you are honest. When you explain your real motivation, you will politely be rejected. If you know what real developer's job requires, you still won't pass the interviews. Often your CV will not even reach the recruiter's desk. I'm evaluated and filtered by the people with no technical background. And you know those word games, don't you? I play them every time. I say that money doesn't matter to me and I work for the idea. Because any other answer is a red flag. We will talk about nonsense filters, senior snobs, hypocrisy, and the company biases. I will explain how we got here and what you can do about it. Let's go through the reasons from the most important, the ones that are shaping the industry, and ending with the just time wasters. Blind filter, looking for the oldest. Filtering by years of experience means losing competition and filtering honest people. Following logic seems clear, but it's wrong. The longer someone is been in the industry, the better they work. Managers think that experience equals speed and quality, so they put 5+ years in every senior vacancy. Recruiters won't even open your CV if it says 4 years. 81% of employers still use hiring based on experience, and only 13% are changing that. 6 months after landing my first job, I asked for 20% salary raise. The reason was I often outperformed my colleagues who had 5 to 10 years of experience. The boss said no. The reason was I wasn't in the company even for a year, and of course I didn't know the SQL. Every developer should know SQL. But I haven't written a single query in 6 months. So I stretched my experience in CV from 6 months to 1 year and easily found a job with a double salary. By sacrificing honesty once, I skipped years of waiting. So don't be loyal if you are not judged by the results of your job. Algorithms in interviews shows the interviewer's ignorance. An honest interviewer would ask, do we really need a candidate who can implement a linked list? A lazy one will just find a reason to justify existing hiring approach. None of 52 FAANC respondents said they are moving away from algorithmic interviews. Out of 30 interviews I had, 20 had algorithm questions. Here's the story where algorithm knowledge mattered. Almost. At my first job, I worked on a task that required complex data manipulation. I was happy that finally I can write an algorithm. A week later, my mentor was looking at the result. Nice work, but we already have this algorithm implemented in this library, so let's just import that, tweak it a little bit so we don't have to maintain a custom solution. That was the moment I realized I've spent thousands of hours learning the things I will never be able to apply. To be sure, I asked my colleagues, around 20 senior developers, if they ever had an experience where they were able to write custom algorithm at their job. And no one did. For now, I have changed 4 companies already, and I have never implemented bubble sort. And that's crazy, the fact that the interview knowledge is important more than the actual job knowledge. Because without the first, you will not land the job. And second, you can theoretically learn while being on the probation period. So if you interview someone, ask them the questions related to the real job. Next reason is clearly shown if you take a look at the job hoppers concept. Job hoppers aren't loyal, so companies don't want to hire them. They say such people leave quickly. You are a job hopper if you didn't stay in a company for 2 years. But in reality, most of the market are then job hoppers. Average time in one role is about 2 years. And Gen Z stays only 1 year on average during the first 5 years of their career. If someone offers you 40% more salary, you are expected to say no, because otherwise you are job hopper. But what about layoffs, bad team fit, or just a toxic boss? Indeed, career coaches advise to hide the details and lie if you didn't have a positive ending at your last company. But your CV won't often even reach that stage because of automated filters. A lying candidate will just stretch the years of experience in his resume, while an honest candidate won't get a chance to explain himself. Job hoppers don't put the company interests above their own. While the company meets their goals, they will work better than anyone else. And to that point, I know the people who stayed in a company for 10+ years. They are experts in that particular product and nowhere else. They don't know other frameworks, other products, other methodologies. Their skills kind of froze in time. They ask outdated questions on interviews and invent the filters that harm the business. I believe if you are junior with 3 years of experience in 3 different companies, you will bring more value than such a senior. Working 2 jobs. In IT, you can easily have 2 jobs and still work less than 8 hours a day in total. People who combine jobs are called overemployed. I know the colleagues who feel it's their duty to report anyone they suspect of being overemployed. If you only mention on the interview that you see nothing wrong in working 2 jobs, you are automatically rejected. But this thinking is wrong. Imagine that you work with an inefficient people who spend half of their day on a TikTok or chatting. Many people will recognize themselves or their colleagues in this description. Such a person is already worse than the guy who is working 2 jobs, because the second guy is spending more time developing professionally. 2 jobs allow you to grow as a developer twice as fast. Overemployed has 500,000 readers. They prove that the system is outdated by their attention and example. Companies still don't know how to evaluate developers' performance, and with artificial intelligence, engineers reach the cruise level productivity. By the statistics, in US company of 100 employees, 5 will have 2 or more jobs. And this is including non-IT sector. If an employer finds out that you are working 2 jobs, they will find the reason to get rid of you. And the funny fact is that they're not even checking if that's their right. But that's overstepping the law. Banning multiple jobs is a labor law violation in most countries. The overemployed means to protest an inefficient system. If your work is judged by the results, it doesn't matter how many jobs you have. And of course, the company bullshit. IT culture is drowning in empty promises and lies from companies. A company is just a bunch of former candidates who has overpromised the clients and now looks for someone who will deliver for a fraction of the deal. Startups sell the products before even building them, and that's considered the best practice. When I get hired, they lie about interesting task and a friendly team. Later we read that 80% of developers are unhappy at their job and 1 in 3 actively hates their job. Yet if you lie in your CV, you're the bad guy. You don't know anything, the company is investing in your future by hiring you. That's what they told me at my first job. 6 months later I outgrew the team and left. Did you ever think, why do the companies only give the raises once a year? Because the system doesn't allow it to be done earlier. That's a terrible lie. The company is the one who created its system. The correct answer is by underpaying employees, the company saves money. And the money saved is just as good as the money earned. There are thousands of books about algorithms, but not one about lying on interviews. Yet both are needed to get a job. Nobody gave the companies permission to lie, they just started to do it. The payer sets the rules in the game, and by those rules, the liar is a trump card. I want you to have your own trump card when you go job hunting. So the most important question, what to do about hiring in IT? The idea is simple. If every developer studies the hiring system in IT and uses lie to bypass it, eventually every interviewing developer will understand the interviewee's tricks. So minus times minus equals plus, and the problem fixes itself. My advice for the developers: watch how hiring works. To stay employable, go to 1 interview a month, just for the sake of practice. For example, I'm not afraid of losing my job because I know that tomorrow I will be able to find a better one. To do that, you must learn how to pass on interviews. Since they're often random and formal, stay 1 step ahead. Learn to predict what they want to hear ahead and share the absurdities of IT hiring. You will only master this through practice, and if you want to try, you will learn more in this video. Advice for the companies: to be objective. Well, test your hiring process with your own people. In hiring as well as in coding, you are expected to use your brain, not to copy-paste from others. Can Bob from another department pass an interview to the new role in new department that you are hiring for? If he can't, your pipeline is broken. IT grew faster than any other industry because we took time to understand problems, so don't forget that habit. If you watched until here, those 2 might be useful for you. And finally, choose your path, take your step, and get paid.